I know I'm just like a child, but I promise I have information. So I'm at this point in my life where I have been long considered a legal adult despite my mental state being of like a 14-year-old. But as someone who has left the nest, there have been a lot of things that I'm just like, why was I in school for so long and nobody taught me how to do taxes? But I spent years learning about algebra. Credit cards are a lot more elaborate than you'd think. But don't worry, I know geometry. And by no algebra and geometry, I mean I don't know algebra and geometry, but I have learned a couple things over personal experience and also just like asking people questions, and we have Google. What I'm hoping to do is basically bring all of that together and to you, which is why today I am beginning a series called Adulting 101. Which I'm hoping will just present you with a lot of information you didn't even know you should know and make you feel a little bit less frightened about the big bad world. See, if you have any special requests, please feel free to leave them in the comments below. But I thought a very good, like, basic beginning place to start that I personally feel like everybody should do in their homes and their lives is organizing your paperwork. So you may already have a system that works for you, and if so, that's great and that's fantastic. But I think especially when you're younger, you're not thinking about things like this, but this is something that I really think is better to just start sooner rather than later. I actually started like my own system of things when I was about to go to college, I think, because that was pretty much the first point in my life where I was leaving my parents' home. And I remember growing up, my mom had a filing cabinet that had all of our crap in it and had like a little Lauren folder that I would just go into and then immediately put back in, otherwise she'd murder me. But I now know why. So I think, yeah, when I was about 18, I kind of started my own system, which has slowly evolved. But it is pretty much basic stuff, but it's so important to do because it just ends up saving you so much time and like hassle if you just know where stuff is. Because people are going to ask you for copies of crap to get a job, to go to school, to basically breathe. You're going to need a copy of something. So if you just have it all nicely organized where you can just go in and find the piece of paper, it can literally save you hours and so much money if you just have copies and you know where things are. So in order to do this, first thing I would do is just get all your shit together. So go through your house, your car, wherever, and just gather all the paperwork and crap that you can find and just like put it on a table. And this can be things like receipts, manuals, your passport, birth certificate, any insurance you have. At this point, just get anything that may or may not be useful. The younger you are, the less crap you'll probably have, but that's good because you are now getting ahead of the game, and as you accumulate more crap, you have places to put it in. Once you've collected pretty much everything that you think you have, start going through everything and making piles of like items. This is obviously going to end up being pretty personal just based off of your life. Personally, I do things like auto. This is things like receipts for repairs on your cars, the title of your car, if you have any insurance, blah, 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 blah. Next, I have a career category. This can be a wide range of things depending on where you are, but usually I like to keep a couple copies of my resume just so you have some printed and ready to go because you never know when an opportunity is going to come up. I also keep my pay stubs for the year, any invoices I send to clients, diplomas, any education crap I have. If you're in school, you probably want a separate education folder. For someone that has graduated, it's just like a subcategory basically. Next, I would have categories for any children, people, animals you have. Personally, it's just me and my dog, but I do have a Thor folder. Like I said, my mom had one for all of her children and one for her and one for my dad, just to keep everybody's personal information in. Other than my dog, it is just me, so I just have a personal category. And this is just where I keep like my birth certificate, my passport, like old driver's licenses. You had a will, this is the category that I would put it in. Next, I would also recommend a financial category. This is information on any credit cards you may have. I have one for student loans. If you have any closed bank accounts, just like anything that relates to money, put in here. Also, if you live alone, I would make a category for your home. Mine is very small. There's just 2 little subcategories in there, but I like to keep copies of like my renter's insurance, also just any receipts and copies of contracts that you get from your landlord. Next is another category that I really hope is smaller for you, but I would keep a medical category. Any copies of like records that you have or bills or receipts or anything, again, I would just put in here. Health insurance information, I would keep this in here. Mine is mostly just stuff from my face place, but it's nice to have a category for that, and it's something that will grow as you age. And lastly, I also have a taxes section. I like to split it between a folder for current taxes. Because I am self-employed, I like to keep receipts and like stuff that I can write off and just like anything that could potentially help me at the end of the year when I have to pay my taxes. And then I also have a previous tax folder, which is just all the folders of previous taxes. And you obviously don't have to do this, but these are the categories if you would like to screenshot it to kind of just at least give you a place to start. Next up, you're gonna get files for your crap. So depending on both how many things you have and also the permanence of your home, you're gonna want to pick something to hold all your files in. When I was like 18, I just went to Target and got this really small, it was just like a gold rimmed wired thing that could hold hanging folders, and I just left it on my desk because I really didn't have very much stuff. By the time that I moved, many years had gone by, so I had not only collected stuff, but also I wanted something that was easier to transfer. So I actually ended up getting this box, which has served me very well, and is also just from Target for not very much money. If you have like an entire family, or just for, you know, whatever reason have a lot of stuff, there's a ton of options out there for like bins, or you can even get like furniture, or just a big old, like my mom, filing cabinet. Whatever you decide to put it in, I do recommend just using some hanging file holders. And personally, I prefer not only folders, but also dividers. Because for some categories, there's just so much crap, you're going to want subcategories. For example, like under my career category, I told you that I like to keep a couple of copies of my resume, which I actually like to keep in envelopes so I can just grab one when I go and it's all clean and nice and unmulled. So I personally like to keep that in a separate divider so it doesn't just like mingle with my pay stubs and kind of ruins the whole point of being organized. But there are some things like Thor where it's basically just a bunch of receipts from his vet and just like copies of proof that he's up to date on his like shots and all that, which I don't think I've ever actually had to show anyone, so I really rarely ever go in that file. Which is why just having one is just fine. So if this is the first time that you're really looking at your papers, I would start by making piles before buying anything, just so you don't over or under buy. But if you have a good grasp on stuff, or if you're like upgrading your system, which I've done, it probably isn't a big deal if you buy everything, and then it's kind of nice because you can start putting things into files as you organize, and it's just like a little less scattered. Once you have everything into categories and subcategories, you are going to label, my friends. I love label makers. I have a personal one, in fact. So I like to just type mine up and use that, but this is not something that needs to be attractive. The point of this is not so it's visually pleasing, it is so your crap is organized and easily accessible. Don't feel like you need to get caught up in making sure everything is the same and looks attractive. Really, you could just go around your house and find a nice eclectic collection of folders and just write labels on them. As long as it is well organized and you can read it, that's really what matters. Just go ahead and put this away in somewhere that isn't completely obvious. You don't need to bury this in your own house, but maybe not like, oh hi, welcome to my home, here's my social security card and a list of my fears. But this is where all of your valuable information is, so just keep that in mind. But that is pretty much everything, my friends. I know this is a pretty simple thing. I think it's one of those things that you don't know until you know. So that's kind of my goal with this whole thing. Again, let me know if there's anything that you're just confused about or would like to know more on, and I will try to not be a moron. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. Go organize your paperwork. Put some real pants on. Actually, don't do that. And have a nice day. Bye. Thank you for watching.